hear me? Good evening and welcome to the Viral Vibe Studio. I'm Jocelyn. This is not a reaction channel, you guys. This is not gossip. This is not clickbait either. Hold on, let me turn this down, you guys. Hold on one second. I don't know what was. Hold on. We got a lot going on in this studio today. Pause that there. Hold on. This is what you got to do when you gotta check when you gotta facts check everything. But you guys, yes, this is not a gossip channel. This is not clickbait. And over here we reveal, we expose, and we bring truth to light. We don't just watch stories, we uncover what's behind them, you guys. We don't just react, we investigate. We don't just repeat headlines, we ask the hard questions. So if there's deception, abuse, power, manipulation, or hypocrisy, hiding behind titles, robes, platforms, or the pulpit, we're talking about it. Because silence protects systems, but exposure protects people. And tonight we are discussing a devastating case involving a pastor whose secret double life was exposed. Oh yeah, we're getting into it tonight. And what followed ended in tragedy. This is not about sexuality. This is not about deception. This is not about betrayal. This is about the danger of living a double life while holding spiritual authority. And let me say this again, and let me say it clearly. This is not about sexuality. This is about exposing wrong. This is about making people understand if you're married, it's okay to leave. You don't have to have secrets. Because anybody who has ever been married knows this. Just because you're married does not mean your relationship is perfect. Marriage is not constant butterflies. It's not always smiles. And it's not always easy. I'll be the first one to admit it. It ain't always easy, you guys. Marriage means you stood before God, before family, before witnesses, and you made vows. And when it gets hard, you work through it together. When it gets uncomfortable, you work through it together. And you try your best to communicate. And when it gets rocky, too rocky where you feel like you're about to go over the hill, get some therapy, y'all. Go to marriage counseling. Do something. Pray, fast together. But don't give up. Because you don't want the devil to win. So don't give up, you guys. You don't step out the covenant. You don't create double lives. You don't have affairs. It's not the answer to a rocky moment in the marriage. It's not. And there's no way that you're going to convince God that it is. So don't go out here trying to create double lives. Don't allow secrecies to grow into destruction. Struggle does not justify betrayal, you guys. So pressure does not justify deception. And unhappiness does not justify violence. Accountability matters, integrity matters, truth matters. And that's what we stand for right here on Viral Vibes with Jocelyn. So this is not a reaction channel. This is an accountability channel where we get out what most people have not heard yet. So I hope everybody's having a great night. So we have quite the lineup today, you guys. So let me get over here. So as you heard, I'm not going to go back into what this case is about. I actually only listened to, literally, I promise you, 10 seconds. And I was sold. We're going to get down to the bottom of this. So, you know what? Let's get into it.
Walls that had witnessed years of family dinners,
Let me
laughter,
go
and
back, make sure
whispered
we get it from the
secrets,
beginning,
became the
y'all.
backdrop to
We don't want to
something
miss nothing. I'm going to be
unthinkable. It
actually,
was supposed to be a home, a place of
hold
love,
on.
trust, and safety.
I'll be also researching some of this stuff to figure out where these people are today. I hate when I get into a story and I'm on TikTok and or YouTube and you watch the whole entire video to get to the end and you don't know nothing. You don't know what's going on. So hopefully I can find some more information on them as we're going through it. I'll be explaining to you guys where where they're at now, what's going on, whatever. So, all right, you guys, let's get it cracking.
But one night, the walls that had witnessed years of family dinners, laughter, and whispered secrets, became the backdrop to something unthinkable. There was no warning, no signs that the man who stood before them, smiling at the altar, would one day betray everything he held dear. Not just a betrayal of trust, but something far darker, far more twisted than anyone could have imagined. A frantic call cuts through the night, shaking the very foundation of a community that once considered him a pillar. But it's not.
You know what, you guys, I didn't even check whether or not, hold on, y'all could have been sitting here talking all this time. You know, normally I check. So before we get into this, let me make sure y'all can hear me. I normally have this already set up. I forgot about it. I was so excited to get on. But according to the setup, it looks like everything is good, but we just want to make sure. Okay, we good. Let's go.
The words that grip you, it's the silence that follows. And in the corner of the house, hidden from the world, a chilling truth lies frozen, waiting to be uncovered. The search for the missing wife and child is intense. The public faces are calm, the story rehearsed. But the deeper they dig, the more unsettling the pieces begin to fit. Was this just a tragic disappearance, or something far more sinister?
Welcome to True Crime Exposed. Thanks for your support. Dive into the darkest crime stories. Don't forget to subscribe.
All right, you guys, you know what this right here, this is what we got to do. But this looks like it's going to be a good one. So let's do this. Let's clean the house. Fair use notice. Content on this channel may include copyrighted material used for commentary, criticism, news reporting, education, discussion. This use is permitted under Section 107 of the United States Copyright Act, which allows limited use of copyrighted material for transformative purposes. 505 when Jocelyn does not claim ownership of any third-party content shown in reaction to commentary videos. Everything on this channel is alleged and my own opinion. All rights remain with the respective owner. Our purpose is to add new value through analysis, opinions, reaction, and educational conversation in full alignment with the YouTube fair use guidelines. Okay, you guys, and we thank True Crimes for this content. The more people that share it, the more this type of thing gets out, and you can be vigilant and know what to look for. So let's get back into it.
Victor Hayes had always been the perfect picture of the man everyone wanted to be. He was well-spoken, well-dressed, and the kind of man who could stand in front of a crowd and make them believe in everything he said. As the head of a local church, he was respected and adored by the community, and to most people, his life was a shining example of success. Mara Hayes, his wife, pregnant with their second child, stood beside him, radiating love and loyalty. The couple was seen as the epitome of perfection, a union built on respect, faith, and family. No one, not even Mara, knew that everything around her, everything she thought she had, was built on a foundation of lies, all controlled by someone she trusted most. Behind the scenes, Mara's father, Julius Clayton, was orchestrating everything. Julius was a man of quiet power, known for his reputation in the community as someone who always seemed to have a solution for any problem. But behind his calm, steady exterior was a man who valued control above all else. His relationship with Victor began years ago when they met at a church conference. Julius, always looking for ways to maintain his influence.
You know what? I'm going to run this back because I'm trying to catch the names because I like to research it while we're going through this. So if you see me looking over here, over there, and I'm just on my iPad and I'm trying to figure out where these people are now. And so let me go back a little bit.
He was well-spoken, well-dressed, and the kind of man who could stand in front of a crowd and make them.
Okay, let me see.
house. Hidden from the world, a chilling truth lies frozen, waiting to be uncovered. The search for the missing wife and child is intense. The public faces are calm, the story rehearsed. But the deeper they dig, the more unsettling the pieces begin to fit. Was this just a tragic disappearance, or something far more sinister?
Welcome to True Crime Exposed. Thanks for your support. Dive into the darkest crime stories. Don't forget to subscribe.
Victor Hayes had always been the perfect picture of the man everyone wanted to be. He was well-spoken, well-dressed, and the kind of man who could stand in front of a crowd and make them believe in everything he said. As the head of a local church, he was respected and adored by the community, and to most people, his life was a shining example of success. Mara Hayes, his wife, pregnant with their second child, stood beside him, radiating love and loyalty. The couple was seen as the epitome of perfection, a union built on respect, faith, and family. No one, not even Mara, knew that everything around her, everything she thought she had, was built on a foundation of lies, all controlled by someone she trusted most. Behind the scenes, Mara's father, Julius Clayton, was orchestrating everything. Julius was a man of quiet power, known for his reputation in the community as someone who always seemed to have a solution for any problem. But behind his calm, steady exterior was a man who valued control above all else. His relationship with Victor began years ago when they met at a church conference. Julius, always looking for ways to maintain his influence, saw Victor as an opportunity to secure his hold in both the church and his personal life. At first, it was a business relationship, a collaboration that made sense for both of them. But soon, their connection turned into something far more complex. Julius had been carrying a secret for years, one that tied him to Victor in a way that no one could ever imagine. What began as a partnership based on mutual respect quickly evolved into an affair that was never meant to be exposed. The two...
See, my question is, so they're saying that Julius and Victor... See, I'll be trying to figure out, get deep down inside of here, because I don't want to say anything that's wrong, so I'll run it back a few times until it connects. So I'm looking in here now, and don't mind that darn noise. My studio is above the garage, y'all. So like I said, it's a home studio. It's a real home studio in here. Dogs barking, kids calling, husbands yelling. It just is what it is, y'all. It's life. So it says this pastor here says, why did the pastor... Okay, so actually he has a lot of videos on YouTube if you want to go back and see what he was... Nah, keep your ears closed. You don't need to hear what he's saying, because he was leading his flock right to the fire. But he's no longer pastor, and he's in jail right now. So let's keep going.
Two men had shared many late-night conversations, and in those moments, something darker than business had taken root. The affair was something Julius thought he could control, a secret buried deep behind closed doors. He couldn't afford for the truth to ever come out. He had worked too hard to build his reputation, and the idea of losing that power was a risk he wasn't willing to take. Meanwhile, Mara's life was seemingly going perfectly.
I would never understand, why do people think the answer to fixing a relationship is going out and cheating? That has got to be the dumbest thing I've ever... I don't understand people and how they think, because you're having problems in your relationship. You're supposed to fight for your relationship. You made these vows, but you think going out and cheating is going to make it better, or going out and talking to other women or other men is going to make it better. You obviously, at that point, you don't want the marriage, so why not just say, hey, listen, I'm ready to kick rocks, and hasta la vista, you know? But I'm not burning in hell for nobody, not me.
Had met Dante before she ever crossed paths with Victor, and their connection was undeniable. Dante wasn't the man Julius had envisioned for his daughter, but to Mara, he was everything.
What was her father's name? Hold on.
Going perfectly. She had met Dante before she ever crossed paths with
Dante.
Victor, and their connection was undeniable.
So we got Dante, we
Dante
got
wasn't the
Victor.
man Julius had envisioned for his
Julius
daughter,
Dante.
but to Mara, he was everything. She loved him, not because of his status, but because of the way he made her feel. With him, she felt seen, heard, and understood. Together, they dreamt of a life where love came before anything else. But Julius wasn't about to let his daughter's happiness interfere with his plans.
Julius's dad.
He saw Dante as a complication, a threat to the carefully constructed future he had already planned for Mara. Julius couldn't have that. So, he made sure to sever that connection. He used his influence to push Mara away from Dante, convincing her that a life with Victor would be more secure, more respectable.
Oh no.
What Mara didn't know was that her future had already been decided for her by her father.
Oh no.
He didn't just want her to marry Victor.
Okay, so she was in love with Dante, but because the father liked Victor, he destroyed her marriage with Dante so she can be with this other guy. This is weird now, because in the beginning it said that Julius and Dante had this special connect. I don't know, maybe he wasn't doing it for her, maybe he was doing it for himself. Lord, these be the pastors in our church, and they wonder why so many people are turning their back on I will say on religion, because you get up every day, you clap, you read your Bible. No, people are turning their back on that, but spiritually, you can never, if you have it, you have it. You can't turn your back on that. But the act of trying to pretend you're spiritual, where you follow a routine, yeah, those are the ones that get caught up in it.
He needed her to marry him. It wasn't just about stability or family, it was about control. By making Mara marry Victor, Julius would keep his affair hidden and ensure that his position in the community remained unchallenged. At first, Mara resisted. She didn't understand why her father, the man who had always been her protector, would push her into a marriage that wasn't born out of love.
Wow.
But Julius had a way of making her feel guilty, of making her question her choices. Slowly, he wore her down, manipulating her emotions until she gave in. She thought she was doing what was best, for the family, for the future. Little did she know, her future had already been written by someone else. Victor, on the other hand, was fully aware of the arrangement. He knew exactly what Julius was doing and why. He had his own reasons for going along with it. Reasons rooted in ambition, the desire for power and respect within the community. The marriage to Mara wasn't just a personal commitment, it was a strategic move. By marrying her, he would solidify his place within the church and the community, furthering his own goals. He didn't care that he wasn't the man Mara had originally loved, he cared about what this marriage could do for him. And that's exactly what he told Julius when they discussed the plan. It wasn't about love, it was about necessity. Julius knew exactly how to play Victor. He had used their shared history to bind them together, making it clear that they were both bound by the same need for control. In his eyes, Mara was just another pawn in the game. But what neither of them anticipated was the emotional toll this would take on Mara. She may have been manipulated into the marriage, but the consequences would be far greater than either Julius or Victor could foresee. As the days passed and the wedding date drew near, Mara's confusion grew. She loved Dante, and yet, here she was, being forced into a life with a man she didn't know in the way she should have. The life she had envisioned with Dante, the life of freedom and love, was slipping away, and she couldn't figure out how to stop it. But the more she tried to resist, the more Julius tightened his grip. She was trapped in a web of her father's making, and by the time the wedding day arrived, it was too late to back out. The idea of family, of duty, had drowned out the voice of her heart. Victor and Julius stood side by side, smiling at the perfect image they had crafted, while Mara...
Let me ask you guys this. Drop a 1 in the chat if someone could actually come into your life and make you walk away from the person that you love. Like, what is this? This is not a dowry or something. This doesn't make any sense to me. I don't even know if it's real. I need to really look for this one. I don't think this is real. There's no way that someone can come in and be like, oh, I'm with this man. I'm in love with this man. I want to marry this man. And then daddy come from the back and say, hey, no, take this dude. This doesn't make... I hope I'm not wasting y'all time because I don't believe the story is real. I'm looking at it right now. I think it's an AI story, but we're going to keep going with it. I'm going to try to find something that we could, because this is ridiculous. This is just plain stupidity.
Stood in the middle, her heart breaking into pieces. She didn't know how to tell them that she was in love with someone else,
Let me see.
that this life wasn't the one she had chosen. But there was no one left to tell. What began as a love story for Mara had slowly been manipulated into a nightmare. A nightmare where her father's need for control had destroyed everything she held dear. And soon, she would learn that the worst betrayal wasn't the one from Victor, it was the one from the man who had promised to protect her all along. Mara never thought she'd walk into a nightmare in her own home. It was the kind of thing you only hear about in stories, the kind that you think could never happen to you, until it does. She had always believed that the love between her and Victor was a bond that couldn't be broken. The life they built together, the home they shared, even the laughter of their unborn child, it all felt like the kind of dream that people worked their entire lives to achieve. But that night, everything she thought she knew came crashing down in a heartbeat. It wasn't a slow realization, it wasn't a creeping suspicion. It was a moment, sharp and sudden, where the world she thought she was living in shattered into a million jagged pieces. She had just come home from a long day at the church, her mind filled with mundane thoughts of her evening plans. The door was slightly ajar, which was odd. Victor was...
I think also her dad is Julius. Victor is the young man that dad wants her to be with. But you got to understand, dad and Victor were, I guess, big in the community. They had the same agenda. So, of course, Victor was a better fit in her father's eyes. But she wanted Dante. I had my own suspicion, but let's keep going. I'm looking right now. Like I did find a story like this, but the names are different. So I don't know if they changed the names for legal purposes, but I'm digging y'all. So
was always home at this time, and Mara never expected to find him in a moment of private reflection. But what she found, as she pushed the door open, was something so horrific that it took every ounce of her strength to stay upright. There, in front of...
Am I clutching my pearls, y'all? If you got pearls on, clutch them. I don't like how that sound. So we're going to go back a little bit because I was a little distracted trying to find out Dante, Julius, and Victor so I can give you guys real information because we're not clickbait here. We speaking facts. I think I missed something. Okay, go ahead. What was the pastor doing? Get my pearls ready.
Of her were the two most important men in her life, Victor and her father, Julius, locked in an embrace that could not be mistaken.
Did I not call it? Did I not call it in the beginning? When Dad started trying to push her off the Victor, I said, Dad wants Dante. I knew it. Oh my God, my pearls just popped and they rolling down the stairwell right now. Let's keep going. I'm missing half the dirt. Bless it. Okay, sorry, y'all. I got all tangled up. My pearls didn't pop, but my bracelet got tangled.
Just the physical closeness between them, it was the way they moved together, the way their eyes met, the way the world outside their bubble had ceased to exist. For a moment, Mara's breath stopped, her heart stuttered, and her mind failed to comprehend what was happening before her eyes. This was no ordinary father-son bonding moment, it was something far more intimate, far darker than she could ever have imagined. Her father. Her protector, the man who raised her, who guided her life with a hand that she believed to be steady and true, was tangled up with her husband. And they were so comfortable in their betrayal. It wasn't the first time.
Ladies.
As long as she could remember, her father had always...
Ladies. Drop a 1 in the chat if you could ever forgive your father for this. You know what I mean? Like me, I can forgive I don't know. I love my daddy. When I tell you I love my father, I don't know. I probably will forgive him. I probably would have been like, Dad, do your thing. That's how much I love my father. But I'm just saying, this is horrible. This woman was so in love with Dante. Like, she, before they even was married, she saw her future with him. And then Dad came in and threw this wrench in and said, no, Victor's better for you. And I knew it. Daddy was creeping with Don. Well, who want Dante if Don? You know what? Girl, stay with Victor and live your life. Because your daddy and your ex is crazy.
Come around, making excuses to drop by, helping with small tasks, offering support to Victor, telling jokes, drinking coffee together like any good man of the house would. Mara had always thought of it as them bonding, nothing more than the natural closeness between father and son-in-law. She never imagined it would be the cover for something so grotesque. As time passed, she had begun to see how much time they spent together, how they would always find excuses to be alone, and yet she dismissed it.
I will say this. I watched something on YouTube, okay? Actually, I might do that next if I can find it. I ain't going to talk about it right now because I might do that next. Okay, let's go back.
She didn't want to believe that something so sinister could be happening under her own roof. She convinced herself that there was nothing to worry about, that the late nights and secretive conversations were harmless, just bonding moments between two men who respected each other. But now, the truth slammed into her face like a cold gust of wind. In that instant, Mara's world fractured. The tears welled up but refused to fall, her throat closing tight as the rage she never thought possible filled her chest. Her mind raced with 1,000 questions, but no answers were coming. How long? How could they? The man she married, the man who swore to love her for better or worse, had been lying to her from the start. Her father, the one who taught her about trust, had betrayed her in the worst way. Without saying a word, Mara turned and fled from the room, her heart pounding as she stormed down the hallway, trying to escape the suffocating weight of what she had just witnessed. Her steps were frantic, her thoughts spiraling. Was it all a lie? Everything? Her marriage, her life with Victor, had it all been a lie? And her father, how could he do this? How could he, the man who promised to protect her, bring this kind of pain into her life? Victor called her name, but she didn't stop. Her footsteps echoed down the hallway as she ran, trying to make sense of the chaos that swirled inside her. She was halfway down the stairs when she heard him behind her. Mara. Please. His voice, desperate, cracked through the fog in her mind. But there was nothing in his voice that could have stopped her now. Nothing but shame and guilt. She reached the front door, but before she could turn the handle, her father's voice caught up with her. Mara, please, let me explain, he begged, his steps heavy behind her. His voice was laced with panic. She turned slowly, her hands shaking. She could barely look him in the eye. How could he explain this? How could anyone? You don't need to explain, Dad, she said quietly, her voice betraying the calm she tried so hard to maintain. I saw everything. There's nothing to explain. The words came out like venom, but they were the only words she could muster. Her father stood before her, his eyes wide with guilt and fear, his face pale. He reached out to her, but she pulled away, stepping back, not wanting him near. His face twisted in sorrow, and for the first time, Mara saw the cracks in the man who had always seemed invincible to her. Mara, please, listen to me, Julius pleaded, his voice shaking with emotion. I never meant for you to find out like this. Don't, she interrupted, her voice rising now, the anger finally spilling over. How could you do this to me? How could you do this to us? Her chest heaved with the weight of it all, and her thoughts became a blur.
I don't know, you guys. I be thinking they know.
She wanted to scream, to hit something.
Hold on, Mara. I be thinking that there are signs. You know, women know when a man is acting a little zesty. You may not say it, or you may not address him with it. But I promise you, an eyebrow do go up. Like certain things, like yo, bruh, what we doing here? You know what I'm saying? But you brush it under the carpet, be like, okay, but we together, blah blah. But you still be like, you moving a little funny here. I believe she knew. Mara, you had to know. Mara, you ain't stupid. You had to know what was going on, Mara. So, okay, let's get back into it.
Pain on her face was enough to tell Victor that this was the only way to stop her. The knife went deeper, again and again, until her body went still. She had begged him, pleaded with him not to do this, but it didn't matter. Was capable of such betrayal.
Okay.
Would you let them get away with it? Victor had never imagined that it would come to this. His mind, clouded by panic and desperation, was now clear only with a single goal: to silence the truth once and for all. The confrontation with Mara had left him shaken.
That's what happened. Mara caught him and Daddy together, and of course now, who is it? It's Dante. Dante feeling like Mara gonna go out, tell everybody what she saw, so he decides, I'm gonna delete Mara. But my thing is, he's with Mara's father. So did Dad also agree to this? But what I'm finding online is I don't see the dad mentioned anywhere, which is weird. I did find Julius and I found Mara, but I didn't find Dante and the dad. So I don't know if this is an AI story. I really don't know. But allegedly, all of this is allegedly, you guys, because I can't find anything. So, but since we have invested in it, we're just going to keep it going. We're going to just keep it moving. And I'm going to go on to something that I know is real. Okay, how about that? Let's just do that. Okay, let's hit play.
Of those who had once admired him was heartbreaking. How could they have been so wrong? How could they have trusted a man capable of such violence? Julius, too, was dragged into the spotlight. His role in the crime could no longer be denied. His guilt, which had been eating away at him for days, was now exposed for everyone to see. Julius had been just as complicit as Victor in the murder of his daughter. He had forced Mara into a marriage she didn't want, manipulated her into staying with a man who would eventually take her life. His guilt was a heavy burden, one that he could no longer carry in silence. But his confession had come too late. The damage had already been done. Julius was arrested alongside Victor, and the community, once so sure of their righteousness, was left grappling with the realization that the people they had trusted the most were the very ones who had betrayed them. The fallout from the crime was felt in every corner of the town. Mara's friends, her family, the church, all of them were left to pick up the pieces of a shattered life. The emotional toll on everyone involved was immeasurable. The investigation, while thorough, couldn't undo the damage that had been done. The truth had been exposed, and the lives of those involved would never be the same. But as the community began to come to terms with the reality of what had happened, one question remained: how could this have been prevented? Could anyone have seen the signs earlier? Could Julius have confessed sooner? Before the murders happened? Or was it too late for redemption? The trial began with a cold weight hanging over the entire town. Victor and Julius sat in separate rooms.
Like I said, Mara knew. I don't believe Mara didn't know. It is what it is, but we're going to move on from this story because I truly think it's AI. Because I can't find police records. I can't find anything. So I'll be back, you guys, in about 9 o'clock. I'm going to do another case.